There's a theater inside every human mind, a stage where we perform, where we hide, where we reveal only what serves us. You think you know yourself. You think you understand the people around you. But what if I told you that beneath every smile, every gesture of kindness, every word of comfort, there exists a calculation so ancient, so deeply woven into our neural fabric, that even you, right now, are performing it without knowing? The brain is not a moral organ. It is a survival machine. And survival, my friend, has never been about truth. It has always been about power. Picture this: a boardroom, 12 people sitting around a polished table. The air is thick, not with oxygen, but with tension. You can feel it on your skin, like static before a storm. Everyone is smiling. Everyone is nodding. But beneath the surface, beneath the masks of professionalism and courtesy, there is a war happening. A silent, invisible war for dominance. Who will speak first? Who will yield? Who will plant the seed of an idea so carefully that others will believe it was their own? This is not fiction. This is Tuesday afternoon in the human world. Before we continue, a warning. The knowledge that is about to be shared cannot be unlearned. It will permanently change the way you see human relationships. If you are ready to abandon comfortable illusions and see what is behind the stage, subscribe now, because this is not just a video. It is the beginning of your journey under the mask. Now let us begin. Niccolo Machiavelli understood something that most people spend their entire lives denying. He understood that human beings are not driven by what they say they value. They are driven by what they fear to lose. Power is not taken. It is performed. It is a dance, a seduction, a carefully orchestrated illusion that makes others believe you already possess what you are still reaching for. Let me take you somewhere. Close your eyes, not literally, but mentally. Imagine you are standing in a crowded room. A party, perhaps, or a conference. It does not matter. What matters is this: you are watching. You see a woman across the room. She is laughing. Her head tilts back. Her hand touches the arm of the man beside her. The gesture seems spontaneous, warm, genuine. But watch closer. Watch the microsecond before the laugh. Watch the way her eyes scan the room even as her mouth opens in joy. Watch the way her fingers press, just slightly, into his sleeve. Not enough to be obvious, just enough to anchor. She is not laughing because something is funny. She is laughing because she knows someone is watching. She is laughing because laughter is a currency, and she is investing it wisely. This is not manipulation in the way you have been taught to fear it. This is not evil. This is evolution. This is the brain doing what it has done for hundreds of thousands of years, calculating social advantage, measuring threat, securing position in the hierarchy. The woman at the party is not a villain. She is a human being, and so are you. You do this too. Every day, every interaction. You adjust your voice when speaking to your boss. You soften your words when asking for a favor. You mirror the body language of someone you want to like you. You have learned, without anyone teaching you explicitly, that survival in the human world is not about strength. It is about perception. Machiavelli wrote The Prince in 1513, over 500 years ago. And yet, if you read it today, you will find yourself uncomfortable. Not because it is outdated, but because it is too accurate, too honest, too willing to say what everyone knows, but no one admits. He wrote that it is better to be feared than loved, if you cannot be both. He wrote that the ends justify the means. He wrote that a ruler must learn to be a fox and a lion, cunning and fierce, deceptive and strong. And the world called him cynical. They called him immoral. They called him a monster. But here's the truth they did not want to face. Machiavelli was not prescribing. He was describing. He was holding up a mirror to human nature, and humanity recoiled at its own reflection. Let us go deeper. Let us go into the brain itself. Not the metaphorical brain, but the actual organ. The 3 pounds of tissue sitting inside your skull right now. Reading these words, processing them, deciding whether to trust them or reject them. Neuroscience has given us a gift. It has allowed us to see what Machiavelli could only intuit. Deep in the center of your brain, beneath the cortex, where you do your thinking, beneath the layers of rationality and language and self-awareness, there is a structure called the amygdala. It is small, almond-shaped, ancient, and it is obsessed with one thing: threat detection. The amygdala does not care about morality. It does not care about fairness or justice or love. It cares about survival. And in the social world of human beings, survival means status. It means belonging. It means knowing who is above you and who is below you, who is friend and who is foe, who can be trusted and who must be watched. When you walk into a room, your amygdala is already working. It is scanning faces. It is measuring tone of voice. It is detecting microexpressions, those fleeting flashes of emotion that cross a face in less than a fifth of a second. Contempt, fear, disgust, desire. Your conscious mind does not see them, but your amygdala does, and it is making decisions based on information you do not even know you have received. This is why you sometimes feel uneasy around a person who has done nothing wrong. This is why you sometimes trust someone you have just met. This is why you can sense, without being able to explain it, when someone is lying. Your amygdala is reading signals that your conscious mind cannot access. It is playing a game that you do not even know you are in. And here's where it gets interesting. Here is where Machiavelli and neuroscience meet in a dark alley and shake hands. The amygdala is not just detecting dominance. It is craving it. Studies have shown that when people gain status, when they win a competition or receive praise, or are acknowledged as superior, their brain releases dopamine, the same chemical that is released when you eat chocolate, or have sex, or take cocaine. Dominance feels good. Power feels good. Not because we are evil, but because our brains are wired to seek it. Now imagine this. Imagine you are a child, 6 years old. You are on a playground. There is a swing set, and there is only one swing available. 2 other children want it. You want it. What do? If you are strong, you push them aside. If you are clever, you convince them that the slide is more fun. If you are charming, you suggest taking turns, knowing that once you are on the swing, you can delay your turn indefinitely. You do not think about this consciously. You do not sit down and plan a strategy, but your brain does. Your brain is already learning the rules of the game of power. And here is the uncomfortable truth. The children who learn this game well, who master the art of social manipulation early, are the ones who succeed later in life. They become leaders. They become influencers. They become the people others follow, not because they're the most moral, but because they are the most effective at managing perception. This is what Machiavelli knew. This is what makes people so angry when they read him. He removed the veil of nobility from power and showed it for what it is: a skill, a craft, something that can be learned and practiced and perfected. And if power is just a skill, then what does that say about the people who have it? What does that say about the world we have built? Let me tell you a story, a true story. There was a man, let us call him David. David worked at a tech company, mid-level manager, competent but not exceptional. He had a colleague, let's call her Sarah. Sarah was brilliant, truly brilliant. Her ideas were innovative, her work ethic impeccable. Everyone knew that when the next promotion came, it would go to Sarah, except it did not. David got the promotion, and if you asked anyone in the office why, they would struggle to explain it. Sarah had the better resume. Sarah had the better results. But David had something else. David had mastered the art of visibility. Every meeting, David spoke, not always with substance, but always with confidence. He had a way of rephrasing other people's ideas, adding just enough of his own spin that it seemed original. He remembered names. He remembered birthdays. He sent emails late at night, not because he was working, but because he knew the timestamp would be seen. He created the perception of indispensability. Sarah, meanwhile, kept her head down. She believed, as so many of us are taught to believe, that good work speaks for itself. But here's the thing about good work: it is silent. And in the theater of human perception, silence is invisibility. David understood what Machiavelli wrote in chapter 18 of The Prince. Everyone sees what you appear to be. Few experience what you really are. David was not a better worker than Sarah, but he was a better performer. And in the game of power, performance is everything. You might feel angry hearing this. You might feel that it is unfair. And you are right. It is unfair. But fairness is a human invention. A beautiful one, perhaps. a necessary one for civilization, but it is not a law of nature. Nature does not care about fairness. Nature cares about what works. And what works in the human social world is the ability to manage how others see you. This is not about lying. Not exactly. It is about emphasis. It is about knowing which truths to highlight and which to let fade into shadow. It is about understanding that every human interaction is a negotiation, and the person who controls the frame of that negotiation controls the outcome. Let me take you somewhere else. A different scene. A couple. They have been together for 7 years. They are sitting across from each other at dinner. The restaurant is nice. Candles on the table. Soft music in the background. But there is a coldness between them. Not the kind that comes from a fight. The kind that comes from something deeper. Something unspoken. She is talking about her day. He is nodding, but his eyes are distant. She can feel it. That absence. That sense that even though he is physically present, he is not really there. And she knows, in that moment, that something has shifted. The power dynamic has changed. For years, she was the one who cared less. She was the one with options. She was the one who could walk away. And he knew it. He felt it. It shaped every interaction. He tried harder. He compromised more. He swallowed his frustrations because he was afraid of losing her. But something has changed. Maybe he has grown. Maybe he has realized his worth. Maybe he has simply stopped caring as much. It does not matter why. What matters is that she can feel it, and it terrifies her. Because power in relationships is not about who loves more. It is about who needs less. Machiavelli would have understood this perfectly. He wrote that dependency is weakness, that the moment you need something from someone, you give them power over you. This is why he advised princes to be self-sufficient, to never rely on the loyalty or goodwill of others. Because people are fickle, people are self-interested, and the moment they sense your need, they will use it. This sounds cruel. It sounds cynical. But is it untrue? Think about your own relationships. Think about the people you have power over and the people who have power over you. Is it not true that the person who cares less, who needs less, who can walk away more easily, is the one who sets the terms? Is it not true that love, as beautiful as it is, becomes a vulnerability the moment it is unequal? The woman at the dinner table is realizing this now. She is realizing that for 7 years, she held the power not because she was better or more valuable, but simply because she was more willing to leave. And now that willingness has shifted. Now he is the one with the exit, and she is the one trying to hold on. This is the dance of dominance. It happens in every relationship. Romantic, professional, familial. It is not always conscious. Often it is not, but it is always there. The subtle push and pull. The testing of boundaries. The negotiation of who gives and who takes, who leads and who follows, who speaks and who listens. And here is where we must talk about the mask. Because this is what the mask is for. The mask is not about deception, not in the way we usually think of it. The mask is about control. It is about managing the information you give to others so that they see what you want them to see, feel what you want them to feel, believe what you want them to believe. Everyone wears a mask. You wear one right now. You wear one at work. You wear one with your family. You wear one with your friends. You might even wear one with yourself, in the privacy of your own thoughts, because sometimes the truth of who we are is too uncomfortable to face directly. Carl Jung called this the persona, the social face we present to the world. He said it was necessary, that without it, we would be overwhelmed by the chaos of our true nature. But he also warned that if we identify too completely with the persona, if we forget that it is a mask and start to believe it is our true self, we lose touch with our shadow. We lose touch with the parts of ourselves that are dark, selfish, hungry for power. And those parts do not disappear. They do not go away just because we refuse to acknowledge them. They simply operate in the dark. They influence our behavior in ways we do not recognize. They make us do things we later cannot explain. Have you ever surprised yourself with your own cruelty? Have you ever said something cutting, something designed to hurt, and then wondered where it came from? Have you ever felt a flash of satisfaction when someone you envy fails? Have you ever smiled at someone you secretly despise? That is the shadow. That is the part of you that Machiavelli would recognize. The part that knows the game. The part that plays to win. And here is the paradox. The people who deny their shadow most vehemently are often the ones most controlled by it. Because if you do not acknowledge your capacity for manipulation, you cannot regulate it. You cannot choose when to use it and when to restrain it. It simply acts, unconsciously, shaping your behavior in ways you do not understand. The most dangerous people are not the ones who know they are manipulative. The most dangerous people are the ones who believe they are not. Let me tell you another story. There was a woman. Let us call her Maria. Maria was a therapist. She dedicated her life to helping others. She was kind, empathetic, deeply committed to her clients' well-being. Everyone who knew her would describe her as selfless, as good. But Maria had a pattern. Every few years, she would form an intense friendship with someone, usually a woman, usually someone vulnerable, someone going through a difficult time. Maria would become indispensable to this person. She would be available at all hours. She would offer advice, support, a shoulder to cry on. The friend would become dependent on her, would structure their life around her availability. And then, inevitably, something would happen. The friend would do something that Maria perceived as a betrayal. Maybe they would cancel plans. Maybe they would seek advice from someone else. Maybe they would simply start to recover, to need Maria less. And Maria would withdraw. Not dramatically, not with anger, but with a coldness that was somehow worse. She would become distant, unavailable, and the friend, now dependent, would be devastated. Maria never saw this pattern. If you had pointed it out to her, she would have been genuinely shocked. She would have explained that she was simply protecting herself from people who took advantage of her kindness. She would have framed herself as the victim. But what was really happening? Maria was addicted to being needed. Her sense of worth, her sense of power, came from being indispensable. And when someone no longer needed her, when they threatened her position of importance, she punished them. Not consciously, not with awareness, but effectively nonetheless. This is shadow manipulation. This is the kind that is most insidious because it hides behind virtue. It wears the mask of goodness while serving the hunger for control. Machiavelli would have understood Maria. He would have seen that her kindness was not separate from her need for power. It was the vehicle for it, and he would not have judged her for it. He would simply have observed it, noted it, recognized it as part of the human condition. Because this is what Machiavelli really understood. Morality and power are not opposites. They are not in conflict. Morality is often the language through which power is exercised. We do not say we want control. We say we want what is best for everyone. We do not say we want dominance. We say we want order, stability, the greater good. And sometimes we even believe it. Sometimes the mask becomes so convincing that we forget we're wearing it. Let us return to the brain. Let us talk about something called cognitive dissonance. This is the discomfort we feel when our actions do not align with our self-image. When we do something that contradicts who we believe we are. The brain hates this feeling. It will do almost anything to resolve it. And the easiest way to resolve it is not to change our behavior. It is to change our story about our behavior. This is why people who do terrible things rarely see themselves as villains. They have constructed a narrative in which they are the hero, or at least the victim. They have reframed their actions in a way that preserves their self-image. A man who cheats on his wife tells himself she stopped appreciating him. A boss who exploits her employees tells herself she is teaching them resilience. A friend who spreads gossip tells himself he is just being honest. The brain is a storytelling machine, and it will always tell the story that makes us look good. Machiavelli knew this. He knew that people are not rational. They are rationalizing. They do not act based on truth. They act based on what they need to believe about themselves. And if you understand this, if you can see the stories people are telling themselves, you can predict their behavior. You can influence it. You can shape it. This is the deepest level of manipulation. Not controlling what people do, but controlling what they believe about what they do. Imagine you are a leader. You want your team to work longer hours. You could simply demand it, but that would create resistance. That would make you the villain in their story. Instead, you frame it differently. You talk about the mission, the vision, the impact you are all making together. You make them feel that working longer hours is not a sacrifice you are demanding, but a choice they are making because they believe in something greater than themselves. Now they're working the same hours, but they feel good about it. They feel empowered. They feel like heroes in their own story. And you are not the demanding boss. You are the inspiring leader. This is not hypothetical. This is how every successful organization operates. This is how movements are built. This is how revolutions happen. Not by forcing people to act against their will, but by shaping the narrative so that what you want them to do aligns with who they want to be. Machiavelli wrote that a prince must be a great pretender and dissembler, that he must appear merciful, faithful, humane, religious, upright, but be ready to act in the opposite way when necessary. The key word is appear, because what matters is not what you are. What matters is what people believe you are. And this brings us to a question that makes most people uncomfortable. If everyone is performing, if everyone is wearing a mask, if everyone is managing perception, then what is real? What is authentic? Is there any such thing as genuine human connection? Or is it all just strategy and manipulation? This is the question that haunts modern life. We are more connected than ever before. We have social media, constant communication, the ability to present ourselves to the world at any moment. And yet we feel more alone, more isolated, more uncertain about who we really are and who others really are. Because we know, on some level, that what we see is performance. We know that the smiling faces on Instagram are curated. We know that the confident personas on LinkedIn are constructed. We know that everyone is playing the game. And if everyone is playing, then who can we trust? Who can we believe? The answer, and this is difficult, is that authenticity and performance are not opposites. They coexist. You can be genuinely kind and strategically kind at the same time. You can truly care about someone and also be aware of how that relationship benefits you. You can love someone and still be negotiating power with them. This is the complexity of human nature that Machiavelli understood and that most people want to deny. We are not simple. We are not purely good or purely selfish. We are both. Always. Simultaneously. The mask is not a lie. The mask is a tool. And what matters is not whether you wear one, because you do, everyone does. What matters is whether you are aware of it, whether you choose it consciously, or whether it controls you unconsciously. Let me take you to one more place. One more scene. A funeral. A man has died. He was successful, well-liked, respected in his community. The church is full. People are crying. They are sharing stories about his generosity, his wisdom, his impact on their lives. But in the back row, there is a woman. She is not crying. She is sitting very still, her face blank. She was his daughter, and she knows something that no one else in this room knows. She knows that the man they are eulogizing, the man they are celebrating, was not the man she knew at home. At home, he was cold, critical, impossible to please. He had expectations that could never be met and disappointment that was always present. He never hit her, never screamed, but his silence was worse. His withdrawal of approval was a weapon he wielded with precision. And now, listening to these people talk about him, she feels a strange vertigo, because they are not lying. They genuinely experienced him as kind, as generous, as good. So which version was real? The public man or the private man? The mask or the face beneath it? The answer is both. Both were real. He was capable of genuine kindness to strangers and genuine cruelty to his daughter. He was capable of generosity in public and withholding in private. This is not hypocrisy, not exactly. This is the human capacity to be different people in different contexts, to wear different masks for different audiences. And here is what his daughter is realizing, sitting in that church. She will never know which version was the truth. She will never know if he loved her and simply did not know how to show it, or if he resented her and hid it well from everyone else. She will never know if the mask he wore in public was the lie, or if the face he showed her at home was the lie. This is the cost of the mask, not just for the people who are deceived by it, but for the person wearing it. Because when you perform for so long, when you manage perception so carefully, you can lose track of what is performance and what is genuine. You can forget who you are beneath the roles you play. Jung warned about this. He said that if you identify completely with your persona, you become hollow. You become a shell. You lose access to your true self, to your shadow, to the full complexity of your humanity. And the tragedy is that you might be successful. You might be admired. You might achieve everything you set out to achieve. But you will be alone, truly alone, because no one will know you, and you will not know yourself. This is the dark side of Machiavellian power. It works. It is effective. But it is isolating. Because to maintain the mask, you must always be vigilant. You must always be performing. You can never fully relax. You can never fully trust. Because if people knew the truth, if they saw behind the mask, they might reject you. They might leave. They might use your vulnerability against you. So you keep the mask on. And the longer you keep it on, the harder it becomes to take off. There's a concept in psychology called the spotlight effect. It is the tendency to overestimate how much other people are paying attention to us. We think everyone is watching, judging, noticing every flaw. But the truth is, most people are too busy worrying about their own performance to pay much attention to yours. This is both liberating and terrifying. Liberating because it means you have more freedom than you think. Most of your mistakes, your awkward moments, your failures, are not being scrutinized the way you imagine. People are not thinking about you as much as you think they are. But it is also terrifying because it means that all the effort you put into managing perception, all the energy you spend on maintaining the mask, might be largely wasted. You are performing for an audience that is not really watching. You are playing a game that no one else knows they are in. And yet, you cannot stop. Because the few times when people are watching, when perception does matter, when the mask slips and someone sees beneath it, the consequences can be devastating. So you keep performing, just in case. This is the exhaustion of modern life. The constant self-monitoring, the endless curation, the awareness that at any moment you might be judged, evaluated, found wanting, and the knowledge that your value, your worth, your place in the hierarchy depends on how well you manage that judgment. Machiavelli lived in a different time, a time when power was more explicit, when princes ruled by force and cunning was openly acknowledged as a virtue. But the principles he described are timeless, because human nature has not changed. We are still social animals. We are still obsessed with status. We are still playing the game of dominance and submission, of performance and perception. The only difference is that now we pretend we are not. We have created a culture that values authenticity above almost everything else. We celebrate people who are real, who are vulnerable, who share their struggles. We condemn people who are fake, who are performative, who hide behind a polished image. But here is the paradox. The performance of authenticity is still a performance. When someone shares their vulnerability on social media, they are making a calculated decision about what to reveal and what to hide. They are managing perception just as carefully as someone who only shares their successes. The only difference is the strategy. Authenticity has become a brand. Vulnerability has become a marketing tool. And the people who are best at performing authenticity are the ones who gain the most followers, the most influence, the most power. This is not a criticism. This is an observation. Because once you see it, you cannot unsee it. You start to notice the patterns, the carefully crafted confessions, the strategic displays of imperfection, the way people share just enough struggle to seem relatable, but not so much that they seem weak. And you realize that Machiavelli was right. The game has not changed. Only the rules have. Only the language we use to describe it. Let me tell you about a study. Researchers took a group of people and put them in pairs. They told one person in each pair that they were the leader and the other person was the subordinate. Then they gave them a task to complete together. But here is the interesting part. They also put a plate of cookies in the room. 3 cookies. 1 for each person and 1 extra. What do you think happened? Who took the 3rd cookie? It was almost always the person who had been randomly assigned the role of leader. Not because they were hungrier, not because they deserved it more, but because being given power, even arbitrary power, even power that was assigned randomly just minutes before, changed their behavior. It made them feel entitled. It made them take more. And here is the disturbing part. They also ate the cookie differently. They chewed with their mouths open. They made more noise. They left more crumbs, as if the power had not just changed their sense of entitlement, but their sense of social obligation, as if being in charge meant they no longer had to follow the same rules of politeness and consideration as everyone else. This is what power does to the brain. It reduces empathy. It increases confidence. It makes you less aware of how your actions affect others and more focused on your own goals and desires. This has been shown in study after study. People in positions of power are less able to read emotions in others. They are less likely to consider other perspectives. They are more likely to interrupt, to dominate conversations, to take up physical space. Power does not corrupt in the way we usually think. It does not turn good people into villains. It simply reveals what was always there. It removes the constraints that force us to consider others. It gives us permission to act on impulses we would normally suppress. And the brain loves it. Remember the dopamine? Remember the reward system? Power feels good because it signals to your ancient brain that you are safe, that you are high in the hierarchy, that you have access to resources and mates and status. Your conscious mind might have moral objections to dominance, but your unconscious mind is celebrating. This is why people fight so hard to gain power, and even harder to keep it. This is why leaders become paranoid, why they see threats everywhere, why they cannot tolerate dissent. Because losing power does not just mean losing status. It means losing the neurochemical reward that has become addictive. It means returning to a state of vulnerability that feels, to the brain, like death. Machiavelli understood this. He understood that once you have tasted power, you will do almost anything to keep it. And he did not judge this. He simply advised princes on how to do it effectively, how to maintain power without losing it, how to be feared without being hated, how to be cruel when necessary but always with purpose, never with excess. Because excess is what gets you overthrown. Excess is what turns fear into hatred. And hatred, Machiavelli knew, is dangerous. Hatred makes people willing to sacrifice themselves to destroy you. Fear keeps them obedient. Hatred makes them reckless. This is the calculation that every person in power must make. How much can I take before people rebel? How far can I push before the cost becomes too high? It is a delicate balance. And the people who master it are the ones who stay in power. The ones who miscalculate are the ones who fall. But here is what most people miss when they read Machiavelli. He was not celebrating this. He was not saying this is how things should be. He was saying this is how things are. And if you want to survive in a world where this is how things are, you need to understand the rules. This is why The Prince was so controversial. Not because it was wrong, but because it was too honest. It said out loud what everyone knew, but no one wanted to admit. It removed the comforting illusion that power is about virtue, that leaders are chosen because they are good, that the world is fair and just and moral. Machiavelli looked at the world as it actually was, not as people wished it to be. And what he saw was a theater, a stage where everyone is performing, where the people who succeed are not the most virtuous, but the most skilled at managing perception, where morality is a tool, not a constraint, where the ends really do justify the means, because no one remembers your methods once you have won. They only remember that you won. This is a bitter truth. And most people, when confronted with it, have one of two reactions. Either they reject it entirely, insisting that the world is not really like this, that goodness and truth and justice will prevail, or they embrace it completely, deciding that if the world is immoral, then they will be too. That if everyone is playing the game, they might as well play to win. But there's a third option, a harder option, and it is the one that Jung would have recommended. The third option is to acknowledge your shadow, to recognize that you are capable of manipulation, of cruelty, of selfishness, to see that you wear masks, that you play games, that you seek power, and then, with that awareness, to choose. Not to deny your capacity for darkness, but to integrate it, to use it consciously, deliberately, in service of something beyond yourself. This is what Jung meant by individuation, the process of becoming whole, not by rejecting the parts of yourself that are uncomfortable, but by accepting them, by bringing them into consciousness, by making them part of your deliberate self rather than your unconscious self. Because here's the thing, you cannot stop playing the game. You cannot opt out of human social dynamics. You cannot remove yourself from the theater of perception and power. As long as you are alive, as long as you interact with other people, you are in the game. The only question is whether you play consciously or unconsciously, whether you choose your masks or whether they choose you. The people who deny they are playing are the most dangerous, not because they are more manipulative, but because they are less aware. They hurt people without meaning to. They seek power without acknowledging it. They wear masks without knowing they are masks. And when confronted with their own behavior, they are genuinely confused, because they have never looked beneath the surface. They have never questioned their own motives. They have never asked themselves the hard questions. What do I really want? What am I willing to do to get it? Who am I willing to hurt? What am I afraid of? What am I hiding? Who would I be if no one was watching? These are the questions that lead to self-knowledge. And self-knowledge is the only real power. Not power over others, but power over yourself. The ability to see your own patterns, your own strategies, your own masks, and then to choose whether to keep wearing them or to try something different. Let me tell you one last story. There was a king. This is not a real king, but an archetype, a symbol. This king had everything: wealth, power, respect, fear. He had built an empire through cunning and strategy. He had followed Machiavelli's advice perfectly. He had been a fox and a lion. He had managed perception flawlessly. He had maintained his power for decades. But late at night, alone in his chambers, he could not sleep, because he knew something that no one else knew. He knew that everything he had built was based on a performance. He knew that the person people feared and respected was not really him. It was a character he had created, a mask he had worn for so long that he could no longer remember what his real face looked like. And he wondered, if he took off the mask, if he showed people who he really was, would they still follow him? Would they still respect him? Or would they see him as weak, as human, as unworthy of the power he held? He never found out, because he never took off the mask. He wore it until he died. And at his funeral, people mourned the king. But no one mourned the man, because no one had ever met him. This is the tragedy of power. This is the cost of the game. You can win. You can achieve everything you set out to achieve. But you might lose yourself in the process. You might become so good at performing that you forget how to be real. You might gain the whole world and lose your soul. And the question you have to ask yourself is it worth it? Machiavelli never answered this question. He simply described the game. He gave you the rules. He showed you how to play. But he never told you whether you should. That decision is yours. And this brings us back to where we started. To the brain, to the amygdala and the dopamine and the ancient circuitry that drives us to seek dominance, to the masks we wear and the games we play and the theater of human interaction. The brain loves domination. This is a fact. It is wired into our neurology. It is part of our evolutionary heritage. And Machiavelli knew it, even without the benefit of modern neuroscience. He knew it because he observed. He watched. He paid attention to what people actually did, not what they said they did. And what he saw was that human beings are not rational creatures who occasionally act on emotion. We are emotional creatures who occasionally rationalize. We are not driven by principles. We are driven by needs. The need for safety, the need for status, the need to be seen, to be valued, to matter. And power in all its forms is how we meet those needs. Power is not just about controlling others. It is about controlling our own fate. It is about having options. It is about not being at the mercy of forces beyond our control. This is why even people who claim to reject power still seek it. They just seek it in different forms. The activist seeks the power to change systems. The artist seeks the power to shape perception. The parent seeks the power to protect their children. The teacher seeks the power to influence minds. Power is not inherently evil. It is neutral. It is a tool. And like any tool, it can be used to build or to destroy. It can be used to help or to harm. What matters is not whether you have power, but what you do with it, and whether you are aware of what you are doing. Because unconscious power is the most dangerous kind. It is the power that operates in the shadow, that influences without acknowledgement, that hurts without intention, that controls without awareness. Conscious power, on the other hand, can be wielded with wisdom, with restraint, with purpose. When you know you are playing the game, you can choose how to play. You can decide when to compete and when to cooperate, when to dominate and when to yield, when to wear the mask and when to take it off. This is the synthesis of Machiavelli and Jung, the recognition that power is real, that the game is real, that the masks are real, but also the recognition that you are not just a player in the game. You are also the observer. You are the consciousness that can step back and see the whole theater, including your own performance. And from that place of observation, you have a choice. You can play the game cynically, using people as means to your ends, accumulating power for its own sake. Or you can play the game consciously, recognizing that everyone else is also playing, also struggling, also wearing masks to hide their vulnerability. And maybe, just maybe, you can find moments of genuine connection, moments when two people take off their masks just for a second and see each other as they really are, not as competitors or allies or resources, but as fellow human beings, equally confused, equally afraid, equally desperate to matter. These moments are rare. They are fragile. They require tremendous courage because they require vulnerability. And vulnerability, in the game of power, is dangerous. It can be exploited. It can be used against you. But it is also the only thing that makes the game worth playing. Because without those moments, without that connection, you are just a mask interacting with other masks. You are just a performance watching other performances. You are alone in a crowded theater, surrounded by people but never truly seen. This is the choice that faces every human being. To play the game with awareness or without it. To wear the mask consciously or unconsciously. To seek power for its own sake or to seek power in service of something deeper. Machiavelli gave us the map. He showed us the territory. He described the rules with brutal honesty. But he did not tell us what to do with that knowledge. He did not tell us whether to embrace the game or to transcend it. He simply said, "This is how it is. Now you decide." And that decision, that choice, is what defines you. Not your success or failure in the game. Not whether you gain power or lose it, but whether you play with awareness, whether you see yourself clearly, whether you acknowledge your shadow and integrate it rather than denying it or being controlled by it. This is the real power. Not power over others, but power over yourself. The ability to see the game, to see your role in it, to see your masks and your strategies and your hunger for dominance, and then to choose, deliberately, consciously, with full awareness of what you are doing and why. Because once you see it, once you really see it, you cannot go back. You cannot return to the comfortable illusion that people are simple, that relationships are straightforward, that the world is fair. You have to live with the knowledge that everyone is performing, everyone is strategizing, everyone is playing the game. But you also gain something. You gain clarity. You gain the ability to navigate the social world with skill and awareness. You gain the ability to protect yourself from manipulation because you can see it coming. You gain the ability to form genuine connections because you know the difference between performance and authenticity, between strategy and sincerity. And most importantly, you gain the ability to choose who you want to be. Not who you think you should be, not who others expect you to be, but who you actually are. Beneath all the masks, beneath all the performances, in the quiet moments when no one is watching and you are alone with yourself. That is the person who matters. That is the person you have to live with for the rest of your life. And if you lose touch with that person, if you become so identified with your masks that you forget who you are beneath them, then no amount of power, no amount of success, no amount of admiration from others will fill the emptiness inside. This is what the king in the story learned too late. This is what Maria the therapist never learned at all. This is what David the manager might learn someday, if he is lucky, if he pays attention, if he has the courage to look beneath his own performance. And this is what you are learning right now, by listening to this, by allowing yourself to see the uncomfortable truth about human nature, by acknowledging that you too wear masks, that you too play games, that you too seek power in ways you might not have admitted to yourself. This is not comfortable knowledge. It is not easy to accept, but it is liberating. Because once you see it, you can work with it. You can use it. You can integrate it into your conscious awareness, and make deliberate choices about how you want to engage with the world. You can decide when to compete and when to cooperate, when to assert yourself and when to yield, when to protect yourself with a mask and when to risk vulnerability, when to play the game and when to step back and observe. This is wisdom, not the naive wisdom that denies the darkness of human nature, but the mature wisdom that acknowledges it, accepts it, and works with it. The wisdom that sees the game clearly but does not become cynical. The wisdom that understands power but does not worship it. The wisdom that wears masks when necessary but never forgets they are masks. This is what Machiavelli and Jung, separated by centuries and coming from completely different perspectives, both understood. That human nature is complex, that we are capable of both great kindness and great cruelty, that we are both the mask and the face beneath it, that we are both the performer and the observer, and the goal is not to eliminate one in favor of the other. The goal is to integrate them, to be whole, to be fully human, with all the contradictions and complexities that entails. This is the journey, this is the work, and it is never finished. Because every day presents new situations, new challenges, new opportunities to choose who you want to be. Every interaction is a chance to play the game consciously or unconsciously. Every relationship is a negotiation of power and vulnerability, of masks and authenticity. And the more aware you become, the more you see. You start to notice the patterns in your own behavior, the ways you seek approval, the ways you avoid conflict, the ways you manipulate without meaning to, the ways you protect yourself at the expense of connection. You start to see the same patterns in others, not with judgment, but with recognition, because you understand now that everyone is doing the same thing. Everyone is trying to survive. Everyone is trying to matter. Everyone is wearing masks and playing games and seeking power in their own way. And this understanding, this recognition, can lead to compassion. Not the naive compassion that ignores harm or excuses bad behavior, but the mature compassion that sees the humanity in everyone, even in their worst moments. The compassion that recognizes that we are all struggling with the same fundamental challenges, the same fears, the same needs, the same hunger for significance. This does not mean you have to trust everyone. It does not mean you have to let people hurt you. It does not mean you stop protecting yourself or stop playing the game. It simply means you play with awareness, with clarity, with the understanding that the person across from you is also wearing a mask, also afraid, also trying to navigate the complex social world we all inhabit. And sometimes, if you are very lucky, if you are very brave, you might find someone who is willing to take off their mask with you, someone who is willing to be seen, someone who is willing to risk vulnerability in exchange for genuine connection. These relationships are precious. They are rare. They require constant work because the pull to put the mask back on, to return to performance, to protect yourself, is always there. The brain is always calculating, always assessing threat, always seeking advantage. But in those moments of genuine connection, something shifts. The game pauses, the theater goes quiet, and you remember what it feels like to be human. Not a role, not a performance, not a strategy, just human. And then the moment passes. The masks go back on. The game resumes. But you carry that memory with you. That reminder that beneath all the performance, beneath all the strategy, beneath all the masks, there is something real, something worth protecting, something worth fighting for. This is what makes the game bearable. This is what makes it worth playing. Not the power itself, not the success or the status or the dominance, but the possibility, however rare, of genuine connection, of being seen, of seeing others, of recognizing yourself in another person and having them recognize themselves in you. Machiavelli never wrote about this. His focus was on power, on strategy, on survival. But I think he knew it. I think he understood that beneath all the cunning and calculation, there was something else, something that made the game matter, something that made life worth living. He just never said it out loud. Maybe because he thought it was obvious. Maybe because he thought it would make him seem weak. Maybe because he knew that in the world he lived in, admitting to such feelings was dangerous. But we live in a different world now. A world where vulnerability is celebrated at least in theory. A world where authenticity is valued, at least as a performance. A world where we have the language to talk about these things, even if we do not always have the courage to live them. And so we have a choice that Machiavelli might not have had. We can acknowledge the game. We can see it clearly. We can understand the rules and play them well. But we can also choose, in certain moments, with certain people, to step outside the game, to take off the mask, to risk being seen. This is not naive. This is not weakness. This is the highest form of courage, because it requires you to hold two truths simultaneously. The truth that the game is real, that power matters, that perception shapes reality, and the truth that there is something beyond the game, something deeper, something that makes us human rather than just strategic animals. This is the integration that Jung spoke of. This is the wholeness that comes from acknowledging your shadow, your capacity for manipulation and cruelty, and then choosing to act with integrity anyway. Not because you are incapable of playing the game, but because you have decided that some things matter more than winning. What those things are, you have to decide for yourself. Maybe it is love. Maybe it is truth. Maybe it is beauty or justice or meaning. Maybe it is simply the desire to look at yourself in the mirror and recognize the person looking back. Whatever it is, it has to be strong enough to withstand the pull of power. Strong enough to make you willing to lose sometimes. Strong enough to make you take off the mask even when it is risky. Because here is the final truth, the one that Machiavelli hinted at but never fully explored. Power without purpose is empty. Winning without meaning is hollow. You can gain everything and still feel like you have nothing if you lose yourself in the process. The brain loves domination. This is true. It is wired into our neurology. It is part of who we are. But the brain is not all of who we are. We are also consciousness. We are also awareness. We are also the part that can observe the brain, understand its drives, and choose whether to follow them or to transcend them. This is what makes us human. Not our capacity for strategy or manipulation or power, but our capacity for choice. Our ability to see ourselves clearly and then decide who we want to be. And that decision, that choice, is made not once but constantly. Every day, every interaction, every moment when you feel the pull to put on the mask, to play the game, to seek advantage. In those moments, you choose. And those choices, accumulated over a lifetime, become your character. They become who you are. Not the mask, not the performance, but the pattern of choices you make when no one is watching, when there is no advantage to be gained, when it is just you and your conscience and the question of who you want to be. This is the real game, not the external game of power and status and dominance, but the internal game of integrity, of alignment between who you are and who you want to be, of living in a way that allows you to sleep at night, to look at yourself in the mirror, to feel that your life has meaning beyond just survival and success. Machiavelli gave us the tools to win the external game. Jung gave us the tools to win the internal game. And the wisdom is in knowing when to use which tools, when to be the fox and when to be authentic, when to wear the mask and when to take it off, when to seek power and when to seek connection. There's no formula for this, no rule book, no strategy that works in every situation. It requires judgment. It requires wisdom. It requires constant attention and constant choice. But it is the only way to live a life that is both successful and meaningful, both powerful and authentic, both strategic and sincere. This is the path. This is the journey. And it begins with seeing, with acknowledging, with accepting that you are both the mask and the face beneath it, that you are capable of both manipulation and genuine connection, that you seek power and you seek meaning, that you are complex, contradictory, fully human. And once you see this, once you really accept it, you can begin to make conscious choices. You can begin to integrate your shadow. You can begin to play the game with awareness rather than being played by it. This is not easy. It is perhaps the hardest work there is, because it requires you to give up the comfortable illusions, the illusion that you are purely good, the illusion that others are purely bad, the illusion that the world is simple and fair and that virtue is always rewarded. But in exchange, you gain something invaluable. You gain clarity. You gain power over yourself. You gain the ability to navigate the complex social world with skill and integrity. You gain the ability to see others clearly without losing compassion. You gain the ability to protect yourself without becoming cynical. And you gain the possibility, however rare, of genuine connection, of being seen and seeing others, of taking off the mask and finding that you are still accepted, still valued, still human. This is what lies beneath the mask. Not a monster, not a saint, just a human being, struggling, trying, doing the best they can with the tools they have, seeking power because the brain is wired to seek it, but also seeking meaning because the soul is wired to seek it. And the integration of these two drives, the synthesis of Machiavelli and Jung, of power and meaning, of strategy and authenticity, is what creates a life worth living. Not a perfect life, not a life without struggle or pain or failure, but a life that is yours, a life that is conscious, a life that is chosen rather than merely lived. This is the gift that Machiavelli gave us, even if he did not intend it, by showing us the game so clearly, by describing the rules so honestly. He gave us the ability to see, and seeing is the first step toward freedom, because you cannot change what you cannot see. You cannot choose what you are not aware of. You cannot integrate what you deny. But once you see it, once you acknowledge it, once you accept it, you have power, real power, not power over others, though you might gain that too, but power over yourself, the power to choose, the power to decide, the power to be who you want to be rather than who your unconscious drives and social conditioning have made you. This is the journey under the mask. This is what we explore here. Not to make you cynical, not to make you manipulative, but to make you aware, to give you the tools, to see clearly, to help you integrate your shadow so that it does not control you from the darkness, and to remind you, always, that beneath all the masks, beneath all the performance, beneath all the games and strategies and calculations, there is something real, something human, something worth protecting and nurturing and honoring. That something is you, the real you, not the role you play at work, not the persona you present to the world, not the mask you wear to protect yourself, but the consciousness that observes all of this, the awareness that can step back and see the whole theater, including your own performance. That is who you really are, and that is who you are trying to protect when you wear the mask. That is who you are trying to express when you take it off. That is who you are trying to honor when you make conscious choices about how to engage with the world. The brain loves domination. Machiavelli knew it. Neuroscience has confirmed it. But you are more than your brain. You are more than your drives and impulses and evolutionary programming. You are consciousness. You are awareness. You are choice. And that makes all the difference. So the question is not whether you will play the game. You will. You have to. As long as you are alive, as long as you interact with other people, you are in the game. The question is whether you will play consciously or unconsciously, whether you will choose your masks or whether they will choose you, whether you will seek power with awareness or without it. And the answer to that question will determine not just your success, but your character, not just your status, but your integrity, not just what you achieve, but who you become in the process of achieving it. This is the real measure of a life. Not what you gain, but who you are. Not what you win, but what you preserve of yourself in the winning. Not how high you climb, but whether you can still recognize yourself when you get there. Machiavelli showed us how to climb. Jung showed us how to stay whole while climbing. And the synthesis of these two perspectives, the integration of power and meaning, of strategy and authenticity, is what we need to navigate the complex world we live in. A world where everyone is performing, where everyone is wearing masks, where everyone is playing the game, but also a world where genuine connection is possible, where authenticity can exist alongside strategy, where you can be both powerful and human. This is the world we inhabit. This is the theater we perform in. And the curtain is always up. The show is always running. The question is whether you are aware of your role or whether you are simply acting it out unconsciously, following a script you never chose. The invitation here is to become aware, to see the script, to understand the role, and then to decide, consciously, whether to keep playing it or to write a new one. This is not easy. It requires courage. It requires honesty. It requires the willingness to look at yourself clearly, without the comforting illusions, without the justifications, without the stories you tell yourself to make your behavior seem noble or necessary. It requires you to see your own hunger for power, your own capacity for manipulation, your own willingness to use people as means to your ends, your own masks and performances and calculations. And then, having seen all of that, having acknowledged all of that, it requires you to choose, not to deny it, not to suppress it, but to integrate it, to make it conscious, to use it deliberately rather than being used by it. This is the work. This is the journey. And it is never finished. Because every day brings new challenges, new situations, new opportunities to choose who you want to be. But with each conscious choice, you become more whole, more integrated, more yourself. Not the self that society expects, not the self that your conditioning has created, but the self that you choose. The self that emerges when you bring awareness to your unconscious patterns and decide, deliberately, how you want to engage with the world. This is freedom. Not freedom from a game, but freedom within it. The freedom to play consciously, to choose your moves, to decide when to compete and when to cooperate, when to assert and when to yield, when to wear the mask and when to take it off. And in that freedom, in that conscious choice, you find meaning. You find purpose. You find a way to be both successful and authentic, both powerful and human, both strategic and sincere. This is what Machiavelli and Jung, together, can teach us. That human nature is complex, that we are capable of both darkness and light, that we wear masks and we have faces beneath them, that we seek power and we seek meaning, that we are both the performer and the observer, and that the goal is not to choose one over the other. The goal is to integrate them, to be whole, to be fully human with all the contradictions and complexities that entails. This is the path. This is the journey under the mask. And it begins now, with this moment, with this awareness, with this choice to see clearly, to acknowledge honestly, to choose consciously. The brain loves domination, but you are more than your brain. You are consciousness. You are awareness. You are choice. And that changes everything. So choose. Choose to see. Choose to acknowledge. Choose to integrate. Choose to be whole. And in that choice, in that conscious decision to engage with the world with both strategy and authenticity, with both power and meaning, you will find what you are looking for. Not perfection, not certainty, not a life without struggle, but a life that is yours, a life that is conscious, a life that is chosen. And that, in the end, is all any of us can hope for. To live consciously, to choose deliberately, to be fully human, with all the darkness and light that entails. To wear the mask when necessary but never forget it is a mask. To play the game with skill but never lose sight of what matters beyond the game. This is the wisdom. This is the integration. This is the path under the mask. And now you have seen it. You cannot unsee it. The question is what you will do with this knowledge, how you will use it, who you will become because of it. That decision is yours, and it is the most important decision you will ever make. Not once, but every day, every moment, every interaction. Who will you be? What mask will you wear? When will you take it off? How will you play the game? What will you preserve of yourself in the playing? These are the questions that matter. These are the questions that define a life. And they have no easy answers, no formulas, no strategies that work in every situation. They require judgment. They require wisdom. They require constant attention and constant choice. They require you to be fully present, fully aware, fully engaged with the complexity of human existence. But this is what it means to be human, not to have all the answers, but to live the questions, to engage with the complexity, to make conscious choices in the face of uncertainty, and to remember always that beneath all the masks, beneath all the performance, beneath all the games and strategies and calculations, there is something real, something human, something worth honoring. That something is you, the real you, the conscious you, the you that chooses. And that you is enough, more than enough. Exactly what is needed. So wear your masks when you need to. Play the game when you must. Seek power when it serves your purpose. But never forget who you are beneath it all. Never lose touch with the consciousness that observes. Never stop choosing who you want to be. Because in the end, that is all that matters. Not what you achieve, not what you gain, not how high you climb or how much power you accumulate, but who you are, who you choose to be, who you become in the process of living. And so the curtain falls on this act, but the show continues inside each of us, in the silence of our thoughts. The mask we have analyzed today, you may know it well, you may wear it, or perhaps you see it in someone you love. The comment section below is not a place for judgment. It is our stage for confessions, a safe space for observers. Use that space to share your story. What mask did you have to wear to survive? We want to hear from you. And if you felt understood here, subscribe. Because here, you are not alone. Together, we will keep unraveling human theater, one mask at a time. The next act is about to begin.